What's up guys, I hope you're having an amazing day. We're back again and today we'll be looking at the differences between these two decks of cards. So one of these is $500 and one of them $12. You may be thinking to yourself, why on earth would you pay $500 for a deck of cards if you can get one which looks exactly the same for $12? And they do look exactly the same. Well, it's because these have a lot of history. This deck is 50 years old. It was printed in Ohio by the United States Playing Card Company, and it features a chemical finish which can't be replicated nowadays due to environmental reasons, and it is printed using completely outdated manufacturing processes like cotton rollers. Modern USPCC decks feel a lot different to these old decks, and the Jerry Nuggets in particular feel very different. There was a recent reprint, which is what these are. Expert Playing Card Company teamed up with USPCC and Jerry Nugget Casino to reprint the Jerry Nuggets. So this particular one is the reprint done by the Expert Playing Card Company, who tried to replicate the original feel of this. So that's what you're actually going to have a look at in this video, is to see if these truly feel like the originals. Because if you can replicate the finish of a $500 deck of cards for $12, why would you buy the $500 one, right? Well, for collectors' reasons, obviously you still buy this, but for cardists and for card handlers and stuff, why would you spend the extra money on $500? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and let's get into it. First, we're just gonna have a look at the top boxes and then we'll get into the main differences. Fronts are the same, tops are the same, even though this one's missing. Conceals the same, actually this same, except this one says the Expert Playing Card Company. This one would say the United States Playing Card Company. On the sides, the same. You can see this one's slightly discolored, that's because of its age. And again, sides are the same, backs same, and then we get to the bottom. So this one says North Las Vegas, Nevada, and this one has a bunch of information about how this is the vintage field deck, made with the Jerry Nugget, made using Jerry Nugget finish in order to duplicate as best as possible the feel of the original 1970 ones, which is what these are. They're made in PRC by Expert Playing Card Company by exclusive license from Jerry Nugget Casino. A bit of history behind this deck is when they first came out, they were $1 and they were available in the gift shop of the Jerry Nugget Casino. But a private collector around, I think, sometime after they were released, bought the remaining stock of them, and then they just started to increase in value. They were popularized within the cardistry community by Dan and Dave, who had quite a few of them. So, and then eventually they just became more and more popular and gained value until today, where they're pretty much worth $500. Okay, so we got both of them here. So the tuck flaps are the same. It almost looks like this one. Nope, they're the exact same. Okay. Get opening the cards. So in terms of the tuck flap, I can't tell the difference because mine doesn't have tuck flaps, my old one. So let's get into the deck. Okay, so got one joker, two jokers. It's just standard USPCC faces, and the Jerry Nugget ace. If we have a look at this one, so we got the vintage joker, 1, 2. So we've got another one, no. Let's go through. Here's the ace. So in terms of the deck of cards, they are pretty much exactly the same. It looks like the red is slightly different. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera. We can zoom in. So the reds are slightly different. I don't know if this is because this one has been photo bleached or just deteriorated in terms of color over time. So to be honest, I can't tell you that. If anyone does know, please leave a comment and I will tag that. If you do see a difference in the red, if you know that the reds are supposed to be brighter than that when they first come out, because I know that they did try and match the colors exactly. The back designs are pretty much spot on, exactly the same. So I don't know why the reds wouldn't be either. They got the exact same design, lithography printing in the USA, and this one says PRC, yeah. And then it's got here the numbers. I think the M stands for the year it's printed, and then it gives you some other details like the month. I'm not entirely sure. And this one, again, same thing. You can actually see the date here, I think. I think that stands for the date. So they try to replicate that. Now, probably what you've all been waiting for is actually how they feel in comparison. Okay, so feel this. Wow. These do feel incredible. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna note is that So let's have a look here. Fan this way up, and we'll fan this way. Okay, so first thing to note is the two sides of the deck do feel different. So this face up side almost feels smoother, and this one feels a bit, it's got more of the linen finish to it. So if you can see the spot, they both have the marks, the linen finish marks, if you can see that, the little dots, the air cushion finish. But when I fan on this side, this feels almost like a plastic deck in terms of texture. I know it's paper, but it's just the way my thumb rotates on, well, the way it feels when I fan the deck of cards. And then this one, yeah, they feel a bit plasticky. I don't know why. It just must be the old chemical finish they used. So if we have a look, let's feel it. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So they're nice and thick. They're nice and stiff. I don't really want to properly bend them. If we have a look over to the other one, let's first compare in terms of fanning. So these are a lot more slippery, straight off. It might just be because these are brand new, but these are a lot more slippery. The texture is not matched. So in terms of texture, they have not managed to replicate the texture here. This is a lot more oily, you can definitely tell that. Again, might be just because they're used, but typically that is what you get with expert playing card decks. Yeah. In terms of stock, these are quite stiff. Feel that? They're about the same thick stiffness. These do feel a bit more elastic. Compared to these do feel more papery. These feel a bit more plasticky and more just elastic, so they'll bounce back more. Whereas these ones do feel like you deform them and they'll stay deformed. Next, let's get into ferroing. Okay, so have a look at ferroing. So ferro is pretty good that way, not so well that way. Okay, get into ferroing of the original Jerry Nuggets. Okay, those ferro beautifully, that is amazing. And we'll go the other way. Yeah, it's alright, yeah. I'm not even sure which way they're supposed to ferro. They should be traditionally cut because it was the old factory printed. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Okay, yeah. Yeah. These just feel, they feel a lot, they almost feel, they're less slippery and they got more grip to it, but they still handle amazingly. Like, it's just got a sense of, there's a sense of solidity to the packets and the deck itself. Like, it stays together. It's a bit clumpy, but at the same time it's not, and it still manages to fan when it needs to. They still glide very well, but it also at the same time it clumps. So it's like packet cuts, for example. You stick together very well. Then you take this one and you it's slippering around all over the place. Fans, it's really slippery, so I don't have to describe it. Yeah, so in terms of, do these guys actually feel the same? The answer is no. So you can't say they feel the same. These feel a lot more paper style. These feel closer to a plastic deck, or they don't feel entirely like a plastic deck, but more plasticky than these do. So these feel incredible. As I said, these guys pack it very well. So it just feels incredible. Actually, I didn't think I'd like these that much, but they, as I said, they stay together very well. They also fan when need to very well. Well, that wasn't a good fan, but they do fan very well. Considering these are like 50 years old, so imagine that. They do fan very well, as I said. You need a little bit more effort to fan them, but I prefer that because this again, yeah, it's just more, it's easier, I think it's easier to get a more consistent fan with a deck which kind of needs more effort to fan, because it's more easier to mess up the fan here because you're not applying as much pressure. Yeah, so weight is a big thing, by the way. I didn't even notice, I forgot to say about that. This is a lot heavier, like a lot heavier. The Jerry Nugget Vintage Field deck is a lot heavier. Let's have a look in terms of thicknesses, because that is something I haven't yet measured. So thickness-wise, the original Jerry Nuggets are thinner. You can see that there. They are much thinner. This is a complete deck, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm missing a piece of diamonds there. Yeah, it's a complete deck. So this is a complete deck, yet it feels a lot lighter than the Expert Playing Card Company replication deck. There's not much more to say than that. These feel a lot nicer. There's just something about the originals which they just feel incredible. It's difficult to describe. It's just because they feel so different to anything else. They hold together very well for cuts. They fan great. I don't really want to spring them, but they spring okay. They spring well, but this isn't their strong suit. But they still perform very well in springs. Let's take these guys out. Okay, these are a lot stiffer. Yeah, so as I said, these are definitely more elastic, which means they bounce back more. But it depends if you like that. I prefer the softness of the originals. Also, this kind of feels a bit grimy, maybe just because they're used, but this is definitely leaving like a little bit of a substance on my hands. But yeah. I mean, to be honest, so the real question is what we were trying to ask it is, do these feel like this? No, they don't. There is a noticeable difference between these two decks. It's very noticeable, I would say. It's very noticeable. Like just the texture itself. You just pick this up, fan it. The texture is definitely different. Fan this one. Yeah, it's just almost instant. You can just tell. You can tell. Any like experienced card handler will be able to tell that this definitely feels different to the Vintage Feel decks. Just in terms of texture, thickness, as I said, so texture, got different texture, different on both sides. One side smoother than the other, and these clump together a bit more, so they're great for packet cuts. However, but they still perform very well in fans, and they do become slippery when they need to. They're softer than these guys. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered it. I've probably babbled on a lot there. So if we just leave it at that, and yeah. So to be honest, I personally would just prefer to use a Modern Feel Jerry Nuggets deck. So these are the Vintage Feel, because I do like USPCC's modern crush stock. So that's why my go-to Jerry's would be a Modern Feel, a blue Modern Feel Jerry's. However, obviously if I had an unlimited supply of these, I probably would go to these for packet cuts. See, that's the thing. Each deck feels different, and I feel like each deck excels in certain different areas. This definitely excels in packet cuts, and it's still great for fanning and springs. But the newer Modern Feel decks would have to be my go-to for fanning and springs, but not packet cuts. But this is just an all-round amazing deck. So I'd like 10 out of 10 for packets. It would have to be like 8 out of 10 for springs, 9 out of 10 for fans. Whereas Modern Feel would be like 9 and 9, 10, yeah, babbling on here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and that it did give you some insight into the differences. If you guys were wondering whether or not you could just buy it, whether or not, I mean, I was hoping, I didn't own this when I originally bought the Vintage Feel decks. I was hoping that they would feel the same, because that means everyone could experience the original Jerry Nuggets, but unfortunately they don't feel the same. I can't actually say that they do. Let's have a look. Oh, no, okay. Golden Nuggets do not feel the same either. Again, there is some debate around this. So yeah, they do not feel the same. However, there is some room for debate, because this is a used deck and this one is a brand new deck. So you can argue that they they will feel the same if this was brand new. However, the texture is very clearly different, so you cannot deny that. The clumpiness of this deck might be just because it's old, but I have used one of these, and the fanning, it kind of just stays a bit oily. It clumps up badly. It clumps up when fanning, but it doesn't like become good for cuts, in my opinion. I mean, all clumpy decks are kind of good for cuts, but this one just feels different. They're just so light as well. That is the other thing. These are so much lighter. Even as you use decks more and more, they tend to become thicker. I don't know why. Maybe the dirt, just the bending and stuff. But even as these are old, they still feel a lot lighter, and they are definitely thinner than the Expert Playing Card reprints. So that's that. That is my comparison in terms of feel and design of the original Jerry Nuggets 1970s and the reprints, the Expert Playing Card reprints.